All right, and then these three fingers got bit. So I had a dog fight again. I have lots of dog fights. I'm pretty good at breaking them up, but this time the fight happened over the top of me while I was sleeping, and I threw caution to the wind at one point. I just trying to break them up, I shoved my elbow in one's mouth on purpose just to stop him from biting my other boy, because once they latch onto each other, it's so hard to get them off. But that's what I'm going to show you, is how to separate dogs that are latched onto each other. And when I'm fucking with them, in the moment I don't feel it, and afterwards I don't feel it. Even with my three fingers bleeding out like crazy, I still picked up this 100-pound boy by the scruff and ripped him up into the air. I picked up my 70-pound boy with the other hand. I held them up both in the air by the scruff at the side. That's why the rope grip strength comes in handy. All that comes in handy for that. But when they're latched on to each other, what you want to do is take your dog leash or your rope and take the dog that's the least likely to bite you. Hopefully they're not trying to bite you at all because they're after each other, but you'll just take the rope and guide it underneath the neck of one. If they don't have a collar, that's what you want to do. If they have a collar, just grab them by the collar, and then when you have them like this, you drag them. You're going to drag them to a threshold of some sort, and you're going to put one outside and one inside, and then you'll slowly close the door, and they'll be on either side of the door. And as soon as it closes or gets close, they'll typically let go, because something about it just makes them let go. Get down, boy. The other thing you can do, get down, boy. Just wait. Is choke one out with the rope. I've never successfully choked one out. I don't know how long it'll take. There's usually always a threshold closer, and it's quicker to do that than to choke one out. Plus, you could really risk damaging your dog. These are my dogs. Unfortunately, the Papa boy, my 75-pound Papa dog, and his son, they don't get along, and the Papa will aggress on the son many times, but the son usually only attacks back 1 out of 10 times. And usually I'm awake and watch, just always kind of aware about them and what they're doing. Typically, if I separate them during feeding and don't keep any of their favorite toys that they'd fight over in the house, there's not really a problem. Bartholomew, he usually submits and gives up seats for Artie or whatever when he tries to take the seat over. It's not that big a deal. Half the time, more often than not, I'll see it coming and I'll separate them before they even get close to each other. But even when I'm awake, it's usually not that big a deal to guide the rope under them and take them to a threshold or a kennel or a door or whatever it needs to take them to. You just got to be calm, take a breath, get your rope. Since I don't have collars, I loop the rope, drag the dog calmly. That's the main thing, is just to be calm. They're not going to hurt each other too bad too quickly. Dogs are tough as shit. It's going to take them a long time to kill each other or to hurt each other. So you have time. Even if you have to leave them fighting for a whole minute, go into the house and grab a rope, whatever you got to do, it's fine. They are probably going to be fine. I've only had one time where one of them was bleeding all over the place, but he was still fine. He didn't need to go to the vet. It's a little bit of my security work life that I'm trying not to be a part of my life anymore. Back when I used to live on a ranch where we had people with psychosis problems, so they'd be like normal, kind of brain dead adult men walking around the ranch staring up at the sky like a turkey. They're not all there. Sometimes they are. And then sometimes they switch and just go on to straight demon mode, and they can like have superhuman strength all of a sudden, be the skinniest guy in the world, but all of a sudden he can punch through a windshield and don't feel any pain. So we used to, for the first year and a half, I lived in a house with a couple of them, and there was about 3 of us at the time, security guards. And one time, one acted up. He was about 30 feet away from the other 2 people who were sleeping, and I was about 80 feet away. But I've been trained my whole life for these kinds of things, so I was up. As soon as the first sound was made that was an aggressive sound, I was up and in that room in less than a second, smacked the guy on the temple. That's what I typically would go to first, to just be fucking lightning fast, smack him on the temple. That'd wake him up out of the demon state. And I'd already solved the issue before them motherfuckers, or the other 2 guys, were up and opening their eyes and rubbing them and getting out of bed, because they aren't trained to deal with real situations. They might have been martial artists. That's how we got the job. It was a bunch of places I went and trained at, and one of the guys called me, so we got some of this work, security work and martial arts training we can do while we're on the ranch. We can start a martial arts school, right, while we take care of these psychosis patients and try to help them and keep them in check. But no, they all pussed out eventually, and for the last year and a half it was me alone until we couldn't get anybody else, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I was living on site still. Luckily I had my own house on site, and the patients had their own houses, but during the day I'd have to watch them all the time, because there'd be people coming in and out doing work and all kinds of other things, and my presence alone most of the time was enough. But sometimes they would just go crazy at night, and they'd be throwing rocks at my house, so I would just boarded my house up like a zombie apocalypse. If I didn't really want to go out there and mess with them unless they were attacking vehicles or something valuable, then I'd go out there and I'd shut them down. But most of the time, if they're just throwing rocks at my house, I just had the windows boarded up, so it just wasn't a thing, wasn't a big deal. Now, if they were trying to kick down the door, sometimes I'd go out and around the back and take care of business, but it happened once a week. There'd be an altercation once a week during the day and once a week at night. So you just get used to it. But once I moved out of there and quit doing the security work, it was such a blessing. All the peace, actually being able to sleep without having to have the awareness. Like, if you never been in the shit, if you don't know how to sleep while aware and understand and hear and know everything that's happening around you while you're still getting sleep, you never been in the shit. I haven't been in the deepest of shit. I didn't go to war or anything like that, but I do know what it's like to have to sleep with one eye open. So I've been in a little bit of the shit, and I have fought for my life. I think the worst, most of it was fist fighting during the security work, but some of it was there was 3 or 4 altercations with like blunt weapons, 2 metal blunt pieces of construction equipment. One time it was a glass wine bottle, and I don't remember what the 4th one was. There may have only been 3, I don't remember. The worst one, the only bladed encounter I had, was with an axe, and that's where Jackie Chan movies saved my life, because I had just checked on the fella, and then I turned around and I was walking to my weights, my outdoor weights I had at the time, and I just had this feeling. This is one of the reasons I say you can sense danger. You absolutely can sense danger. I just had this feeling to look back, and as soon as I looked back, 40 feet away, running right at me, one of them with an axe. And luckily, right between us, 20 feet between us, there was a shovel. And without any hesitation, I jolted to that shovel so fast and had it. And as soon as I had the shovel, that shut the altercation down. Like, all his aggression, he knew of my superior techniques. and he knew he wasn't going to get a hit in without getting his fingers chopped off by that shovel or smacked real hard. Luckily, it didn't come down to that. It was just after I grabbed the shovel. I even have this on video, but I don't want to. I'll have to find a way to blur the fella's face maybe one day, and I can show the video because it's on my Google Drive, so I do have the evidence of this. But it's just, it was right after I grabbed the shovel, and he kind of quit, and then I'm filming him, and he's kind of cursing at me and pacing back and forth. He wants to swing at me, but he knows I got the shovel now. Eventually, I had to drop the phone because he does swing at me, and we have a little bit of a fight, but I'm not worried at this point. As soon as I have the shovel, I wasn't worried at all. You know, 20 minutes later, he tired out, and we got the axe, and it was good. And it was about 2 weeks after that. I said, I'm done, at least living on site. I said, look, I'll keep coming and doing security work, but I'm not living on site anymore. And they're like, well, we'll just do something else with them. We'll send them away somewhere else. And that was the end of that security work I was doing. I don't know how I got off tangent onto that, but yes, dealing with stuff. The dogs, I love the dogs more than anything. I thought about giving up Bartholomew one time for my ex, and I just bawled for like an hour. I didn't want to do it, so I gave up the ex instead, and that made me happy. So yeah, there's no amount of pain these dogs can cause me to give them up. I know they didn't want to bite me. If they did, those bites probably would have been worse. Like, I'm still going to be able to train fine. I think the only thing that's going to suffer for a couple of weeks is just the grippers. Not even grip training, just the grippers specifically. I think I can do them with my left hand, so it'll just be my right hand. I won't be using the grippers for a couple of weeks probably, and that's an easy trade I'd make anytime over and over again to keep my puppies. I love my puppies so much, more than anything. I'll never give them up, no matter what. So I will have to find a better way to keep them maintained and separated, though I don't think I'm gonna. I'll have to alternate them sleeping in the bed and sleeping in a pen. Luckily, I have some nice built-in pens in my house. So I just wanted to make the video talking about how to, because I'm inspired right now by having to deal with it. So it's a video I've been wanting to make for a while. Maybe one day I'll have some more trained dogs I can do a demonstration with, but I feel like the point is easily made. You grab a rope, you loop it around the dog's neck, you drag them calmly and carefully to a threshold, and you don't do like I do from love and throw your arms in their mouth so they don't bite each other and they bite you instead. I woke up, I was not used to waking up in dealing with stuff as much this time, but I did it all the same, and my brain wasn't on, and I just said, fuck it, I can't let these dogs get latched onto each other. So I threw my elbow in that one dog's mouth, and I grabbed the other dog, and I moseyed them to a threshold and separated them. But yeah, that happened. That happened in the middle of the night, 4 a.m. Y'all probably just listening to me talk, or you got a nice look at my clay-filled, sand-filled dog pen that I need to repair my rack. I'll need to bulk it up. I'm going to put more bracings under the sides of this thing and a 4x6 on top. And then maybe even a little bit of a better squat rack safety catch right there. This is bench press height, so it's not tall enough to catch the barbell safely. That's why it broke there. But anyway, yeah, there's a video. Here's a video. It's a video, dog video. I didn't want to make it, but I made it anyway. Here we go.